Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here.
Hey, Savvies. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am super excited that you're here, and I cannot wait to dive into the episode I have for you today. So today we're going to be talking all about what to do when you're feeling stuck with content ideas for your podcast. Before we dive into the episode, I did want to make sure that you are aware that I'm now offering mini podcast audits completely for free. So if you want to get my eyes and ears on your show so that you can make some quick and easy improvements to start bringing in more listeners, make sure to head to savvypodcastaudit.com to submit your podcast to be audited today, and we will have it on an upcoming episode. So once again, that is savvypodcastaudit.com. I will also drop the link to it in the show notes so you guys can go submit your podcast to be audited, but I can't wait to see you guys' podcast come through. So let's jump into the episode. So first things first, when you are feeling stuck with content ideas, I think one of the best steps to take initially is to utilize your listener feedback. So I am in the camp that we should always be asking our listeners for feedback, and not just asking them for feedback for the sake of it, but actually like implementing their suggestions, right? This can not only help you with content ideas when you're feeling stuck, but it also provides your listeners with exactly what they want to hear from you. So it's really just an absolute win-win if you ask me, because you're getting content ideas, you're getting feedback, and they are getting what they want to hear from you. Next up, we have repurpose content from other channels. So I don't know about you, but my personal motto in business and life in general is to work smarter, not harder. I know that's not revolutionary, and I know it's probably not the first time you've heard it, but taking high performing content from other channels like your Instagram, your Facebook group, any other social media channel, and turning it into longer form podcast episodes really helps when you're stuck in a creative rut with your podcast ideas. I know people tend to get hung up on feeling like every piece of content that they create needs to be like brand spanking new, but I promise that's certainly not the case at all. And it's probably the reason why you are stuck in the first place, because you're not working smarter. In this case, you are working harder. So repurposing is an absolute must. Another thing you can do is invite guests on your show. So if the reason you're stuck is because you're mainly doing solo episodes, that means you're obviously relying 100% on your own brain to create these solo episodes, to create that content. Maybe it's time to switch it up and invite guests to be on your show. And that gives you the ability to just focus on asking the questions and being like the host and the interviewer, instead of like having to sit there and map out an entire episode of content by yourself from your brain. Honestly, with guests, it takes so much stress and pressure off your plate because you are not having to create the content yourself. You are having like a collaborative experience to create the content, which makes it a lot easier. So bringing in some guests definitely doesn't hurt at all. You can also expand on previous topics you've had on the show. So take a look at your analytics for your past episodes and find your top like 3 to 5 most downloaded episodes, maybe even go all the way up to seven top most downloaded episodes. And if possible, you can make another episode elaborating further on these topics. This really gives your listeners what they want and gives you a nice boost of inspiration too, because you're just kind of further elaborating versus like completely reinventing the wheel. So that really, really helps for sure. And then lastly, if you have kind of exhausted all of the above that we've talked about, and you just still are not feeling inspired at all, and you just feel stuck, it's your permission to take a break if needed. If you've already implemented most or all the other options that I mentioned, then taking a break is certainly warranted. I found that when I take a break from something, I end up having the absolute most amazing ideas come to me, and I feel super refreshed and inspired again. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a break. It can be so beneficial. And I'm not saying like take a break every 2 weeks or something, because then you're not doing consistent episodes. But if you need a break for like a week or so, or even you can build breaks into your podcasting schedule, that is preferable as well. So I would love to know personally, what do you do when you're feeling stuck with your content ideas for your show? You can let me know over on Instagram. My handle is Savvy Podcast Studio. I always love hearing from you guys. Always nice to see you guys in my DMs because, sometimes with podcasting, it feels like you're just talking into the void. And obviously, you don't want to be doing that. But if you want to check out the show notes for this episode, you can find them at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com. And I will see you in the next episode.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.